How's it going? Welcome to the live podcast of the Patriot game. I'm Lee Fitz in Belfast, and as ever, I'm joined by Pierce in Dublin. We're missing Martino tonight, Pierce. There's rumours going about that there's a 2-for-1 deal for the fake tan in Martin's local Asda.
I think he's an 8 tonight.
He's what?
He's an 8 like Ross from Friends.
You can picture him with his Larry Trousers, got he? How are you getting on, mate? All going well? All going well in Dublin?
Not bad. Sick of the lockdown now. Wish we were like you, was able to go out. Have a nice Sunday lunch.
The only thing about that is you're getting food and it's blowing down the street and there's fucking people run down alleys and stuff. So
yeah, this country wasn't made for going out.
No, definitely not, mate. Couple of hitters do the job, like, and they're throwing blankets over you as well. So that's good, like. But so no Celtic this weekend. How's that?
It's great, isn't it?
Have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, it's great waking up, isn't it? You've nothing to dread.
Mate, it's unreal. It's absolutely unreal. Just it's like a wee release. I'm just sick of being negative, mate. This season has just been like one negative weekend after one negative weekend.
Yeah, since the very start, like back in August, it's just been like, even when they were winning, you knew something bad was coming.
Did you get that at the start of the season? Like, I got a wee bit of it. Like, from the very off, I just sensed that something wasn't right. Like the very first match, yeah, like the whole goalie situation and stuff. And I was like,
the Kilmarnock one when they drew, I was like, you just knew something. And then there was the Champions League after that, and you just knew it was going to fall
100%. See, just talking about it before we get into what we were planning to talk about, like there must have been some amount of pressure, like amongst the players and stuff. Like there had to be, like even the management and above, like it had to be, like,
because they didn't. The last game was the middle of March. They had like a 6 months build up, and everyone was talking about it. Like from the moment the league was called, everyone was just talking about the 10, and then the Adidas. Remember, the Adidas stuff was like a decade in the making, and that just backfired terribly.
That jersey definitely didn't deserve a season, did it? Those 3 jerseys.
I don't normally buy the stuff, but I was like a kid in the shop. It was just give me it all.
Mate, once they got released, the tracksuits and all, like I'm running about like a full kit wanker, full tracksuit on, socks pulled up to the knees, just love it, like. But mate, so from the
time to go on holidays and put it on.
Definitely. But just from the very off, there was just a sense that, like, there was just something wasn't right within the club. And then obviously the results started to prove that. And then, like, just running into January and stuff with the whole Dubai situation, like, how anyone thought that was a good idea to go to Dubai. We're not going to really get into Dubai on this episode because we're here for the rest of the night. But
till next January.
Oh, mate. But I was just, just talk about recent events and stuff with the supporters update. What did you make of that? Like the email that was getting sent about?
I've never seen that. It was like, when a politician talks for ever and they say nothing. There was absolutely nothing in that update. It was just, we haven't done anything, but stay tight. And then they start the guilt trip. It was like, but we need you for next season. It's horrible the way they do it.
100%, and talking about getting back into the stadium and stuff for next year and the whole transition. That scared me. I was like, the transition between Peter Lawwell to Don Mackay with his beautiful hairline. But it's like Peter Lawwell is like Palpatine from Star Wars or something. You know what I mean? You can just picture him being there for about 3 to 5 years. Just a big screen of him. Do you know what I mean? In Satley Park, and they're all looking up at him for instructions. But
he's going nowhere. He'll get some other job, I'd say. They'll just keep him there hanging about.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I'd say they'll do a reshuffle on the board and he'll be like honorary chairman or something anyway.
Just a wee job for the boy, or keep him happy, keep him sweet.
It could be the new manager. Maybe he's doing his badges at the moment.
Would he do a better job than Neil Allen?
Who couldn't do a worse job than how that was going for 6? But sure, all of us idiots could tell back in September, October, it was going to fall apart.
Yeah, 100%. And you were made what was it? There was comments going about that you were entitled and stuff because of the success of our last 10 years. So it didn't turn out too well, did it?
And it's like, see, it's a crying shame they never did one of those Amazon All or Nothing documentaries, because it would be the best. You'd love to see what was going on behind the scenes, because I'd say you couldn't make it up. It's like the Sunderland one is bad, but I'd say this would be 10 times worse than the Sunderland stuff.
It would be unbelievable viewing. Could you imagine inside the bus? after like the defeat of Ross County. Could you imagine? Could you imagine that? See
Oh, the
on that
plane.
point. See on that point with everything that was going on, and do you remember Jeremy Frimpong when he went to Bayer Leverkusen? He was asked about that. He was asked about like the fans' reaction to defeats and stuff, and he was coming off with comments like, "Oh, you can't win every game," and you know that shows you that that was probably the idea, like that was going through all the players' minds at that time. Some players, anyway.
Yeah, I think I think you could tell, particularly now looking back, they packed it in. I'd say in November, December, they knew themselves they weren't going to win it, and then it was finished after Dubai. That Hibs game was the end of it for me, anyway.
Big time. No, 100%. And like, again, you talk about the sort of the weirdness that was going on with the club, and it was just unbelievably bad. Like, and yeah, when Frimpong jumped ship, it was like, don't get me wrong, like the offer that came in for him and stuff, it was never going to get turned down. I was always going to be accepted, and good luck to him anyway in Germany and stuff. But you want players sort of
in the middle of January though. And we, again, this is just classic Celtic. We didn't sign anyone until your pal signed on the last day of the window on loan. There's absolutely no, as if they were like,
who's my pal, mate?
John Joe Kenny.
He's no pal of mine, mate. John Joe. God love John Joe. And big Shane Duffy's away back to Brighton as well.
Yeah, it was just, I don't know what happened there. God, I know his dad obviously died, but it was just.
I
felt sorry for him. It was
no, you
sad
did.
To watch.
You did 100%. He's obviously, do you know, he's Ireland captain, like obviously incredibly talented and stuff. But I've talked about this with a few people and stuff, and like there's obviously a huge golfing class and stuff between the Premier League and the SPFL. But like in Scotland with Shane Duffy, do you think there was a wee sense of like not ignorance, but like sort of going up and going, right, this is going to be a great year. I'm going up. I'm going to win 10 in a row. I'm going to be playing for Celtic, and I'm going to coast it.
I think he definitely thought this would be easy. I'm bigger than everyone. I'll just start smashing through people, and then it didn't happen. And there wasn't really one game. I know we scored in his debut, but can you think of any game where you thought he's going to? He was like brilliant in that game.
Probably his debut. He scored on his debut, didn't he? Yeah, he scored in his first 2 games.
He scored the Ross. Then he scored. They played St. Mirren. Didn't he score the winner out of one of the goals anyway?
He definitely did. He definitely did. So when he came, and I was absolutely buzzing. If you go back through my tweets, it was like, this is it, 10 in a row. But again, like you talk about that, and I talk about this all the time, like in Scotland and stuff, where it's not really the fact that you don't get as much time on the ball and stuff isn't respected enough. Like you're going from, obviously he was with Brighton for the last couple of seasons, and he's sort of playing in a defensive-minded team. But when you're going to play for Celtic and you're playing in an offensive, meant to be offensive team until this season. But do you know what I mean? So that's a big transition. But obviously he had a lot of things going on personally as well, and God love him. But I'm gutted to see that it didn't turn out well for him, and he's away back. But just talking about like the rebuild and stuff, we've spoke about this many times off air and stuff, and we could go through the team now and like basically say yes or no. Who would you keep? Who would you not keep?
I'll get it up here now. And so Barkas, yes.
I have a keep Barkas.
Yeah, I think there might be a goalkeeper in him. You never know.
100%. There's obviously
Bain. No.
Bain's gone, man. Bain, he's all right for a second choice keeper. Like if you need him for if there's anyone injured and stuff, he's definitely you could throw him on there for a game or two. But you need a solid goalkeeper. Like with Barkas, just going back to Barkas, Celtic obviously the scout. Well, again talking about the scouting, but they obviously watched him for a good while, and they obviously like what they're seeing. And it's hard to replace like players like Fraser Foster. Like how many points did he save us last year? Saved us all sorts. Won us the League Cup single-handedly against them, and when you're going in, you're trying to replace someone like that. There, it can be very, very difficult. But obviously, with COVID and all as well, that definitely plays a part. Look at El Hamed as well, in right back. Like he just couldn't settle whatsoever. Like he, we talked to Tom Boyd and stuff, and talked to a few other ex-players, and what they were saying was that you're basically in isolation. Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah. You're basically by yourself, or with your loved ones. You're not getting to spend much time with other players outside or whatever else. But I would keep Barkas. I would give him another crack and see. Basically, I think that there's definitely a goalkeeper in him. I was reading actually Charlie McGrew's comments on him as well. He was basically saying the same sort of thing. But I'd keep him.
So I he can't be that bad if he's the Greek goalkeeper and he has played in the Champions. He can't be that bad, and that's what you were saying about signing players from foreign countries and they're coming here. I think he might be. I don't know. I don't think his family are back in Greece, so he's on his own in a hotel room. Like, imagine you moved like on your own. Yeah, like in any job, your head would be all over the place. But that's we always do stuff like that. You signed El Hamid signed. I think he's played for 2 other clubs and came home because of homesick. Shved, he went to Sevilla before and went home because he's homesick. Seemingly, he doesn't speak a single word of English. They just seem to just sign players, and there's no kind of background check done into players. It's just, look, he might play, it might work.
No, definitely. I would keep him just to see if we do go into some form of normality. Harry, if he does settle better, and obviously with that, there it may carry through to his performances on the pitch. And who knows, Eddie Howe could come in. If it is Eddie Howe, if he comes in
again.
He's been confirmed about 25 times this season, hasn't he?
Like Easter weekend was the one. Do you remember that was when everyone was like, "Oh, he's happening next week."
I mean, there's been many times. There's a few boys on Twitter sweating it out. I'm sending a few prayers for a couple of boys.
Yeah, God love
who have been putting it out there. So I wouldn't like to be in their shoes. I definitely wouldn't. But I think that the general feeling he has to be surely to God, like it's close. It has to be close. Like
the general talk seems to be that he's done, and it's waiting on the Bournemouth people. But they're in the playoffs, so they're probably waiting until they're knocked out of the playoffs. Well, hopefully knocked out of the playoffs before they can confirm them coming up. Because unless everyone's pal Strachan and Kennedy are staying, that would just be. Could you imagine?
Gavin on his laptop or trying to beat his Angry Birds record. Oh, God love him. He's another boy. He's just top pure. Another. He's been slattered this year. God love him, but
I'm sure he's a nice fella.
Oh, he probably is. We'll never get to know him. But yeah, just going back to that team just before when we talk about Eddie Howe at the sort of end of the show. Moving on to right back, obviously my pal, John Joe Kenny.
He's gone. He's one of these fellas you could see playing like League Two or non-league in a few years because he looks terrible.
Yeah, a mate of mine's an Everton fan. I was asking about him when he first signed, as you do. And he was basically saying that he's sort of good going forward with the ball, and he's sort of not the best defensively. But that again, it just looked like it was just a. I mean, honestly, like I've said it. I don't think I've ever seen a worse player. Honest. Do you know that back pass at Ibrox for me? He shouldn't have. It's not against him personally, but when you're making decisions like that in big games, like surely to God, there's someone else there that has to be given a chance to come back in and play. Like you're going to play against them at Ibrox again. And again, Kennedy reverts back to that same sort of setup, that same team. And you're like, it's not going to work. It's just not going to work. Give someone else a chance. There has to be someone else there who could come on and do a better job. And if it is someone from the youth team or whatever else, if they do have a bad performance, you can sort of, 100%. Like, and if he does have a sort of off performance, you can understand it because, like, he's young and he's only coming through. But I'd rather much rather see a player like that be given a chance than someone who has repeatedly failed this season.
Again and again, like, the first game was Kilmarnock. I think he put a half decent cross in that night, and that was it. I never thought he was good, and then it just moved on to.
I tweeted after it directly after he put that ball in their back, and I tweeted right away and said that he's the answer. He's the answer to Jeremy Frimpong.
That's the question.
Oh, mate. Well, that tweet will haunt me forever. Moving on to the centre halves. Christopher Jullien, for me, he's a definite yes.
He's the best they've got, but I still don't think he's a world beater, but he's the best we've got. Hire's definitely away.
He seems to do well, doesn't he, in the big games, Jullien?
The European games he always does well, but then random small teams bully him. And
then he plays against Livingston and just gets through about like a tracksuit.
Yeah.
He does, but he's a definite yes. He's obviously come back from an injury, but it'd be good to get him back in there and solidify that defence a wee bit. And then Chris Ayer just looks as if he's going to get that move away. It'd be great to keep him. I wish if he was running on the Grand National, I'd back him. That boy can bolt forward with a ball.
He was the best player going forward at Ibrox last week.
He was 100%. Still a wee bit at times defensively where I think he can make some better decisions. And obviously, like young Welcher as well, I think sort of. There's just a couple of decisions that he's made defensively this season that's been a wee bit sort of weird. But Welch coming in there as well. I think Welch has done really well. He looks like a solid young player, and by all accounts, he's a great lad as well. So hopefully he gets to stay on and get a good shot at building his career at the club.
Because he got a 4-year deal. I don't think we should be looking to sign someone better than him to start though from next season.
Definitely
he can't be the starter next year. He's
definitely
he's miles off being like a very classic going into Champions League qualifiers, and it'll be him and Beaton probably starting.
100%. Beaton has a lifetime contract, mate. I think he's going to be like John Clark. He's going to be sorting tracksuits out in 2055 or something. No, he is.
Beaton, he's stayed there like 8 years. He's going nowhere, and then you don't see him for months, and he just pops up in the game. And you're like, "Are you still here?" He's like, it's like Ralston. I thought he was gone last summer, and then he was still there.
Legend. Put it right up, Neymar. Keep him for the rest of his career. See, speaking of
Beaton, left back.
That was obviously a very pivotal point in the season. For me anyway, but just thinking back to it when he gets sent off at Ibrox with that decision, we were all over them, on top of them, pressing, looked like a goal was going to come, and then that one sort of mistake where he tucked down.
Lazy decision.
It was. He tucked down Morelos, and then that was all hopes of clawing it back. Before that, like you were sort of, it was sort of gone. But it was a big moment in the season.
Yeah, that was the end. And you knew
that was it, wasn't it, mate? That was it. That was the final nail in the coffin. Like moving on to January. Moving on to Diego and
and Greg Castro.
Another one who has a world record in Minecraft. The best thing he's done this season was, do you remember the Eddie? Someone asked him on one of them live streams about Eddie Howe, and he thought it was French Eddie. He's turning up at Lennoxtown tomorrow. What a performance, mate. Keep him, send him for it. Send him for the crack. But again, when he started off, it's like there's been a lot of players when they started off this season, you're going to yourself, right? They look as if they're going to do a job, and then he's just turned into an absolute bomb scorer again. Like,
yeah, he started his first game was the game against them when we got beaten 2-0. And then remember against it was at Lille away, he was class in the Europa League that night, and then
he was everywhere.
Slowly this got worse and worse to the stage.
Yeah, again, I sort of had a feeling about him when he was going forward. He looked like he was full of beans, energetic, but his final ball was just criminal, and that's the thing as well. Like when you've got no wing backs or who can't overlap and help out the wingers and fire balls into the backs, it's just going to starve you. Like it's no wonder. Like, not making any excuses for the forward players, but that does have a big impact. You need quality deliveries. There's been so many players in the team this year who are just hitting balls from distance, like Ryan Christie. McGregor has been a terrible man for it this year as well. But there's been many chances. Like one that stood out for me with McGregor was the chance at Copenhagen where Edward was clean through when we were away to them, and he just hit the ball and ballooned it over the bar, and you're like, give that ball in and give us a better goal scoring opportunity. But moving on to McGregor, how do you think he's been this season?
Terrible, like shocking. I know people, I'm a massive McGregor fan, but I know people are making excuses like, oh, he's got Brown beside him. But like eventually that excuse wears off, and you just have to start looking at the player for themselves. And hasn't like a shadow of a player that he was before. Like they all have been. McGregor, Brown, the Brown stuff has just been deplorable to keep it. Yeah. Brown was done, and everyone knew he was done. It was just like, oh, you need to keep him on for the 10. No, you don't, though. Like, I mean, I wouldn't be a fan of them or him at all, but like Ferguson at Manchester United was class at moving players on at the right time, and like he got rid of Kane, he got rid of Beckham, York, Cole, all these players because they were finished. We don't. We seem to keep players and just keep going with them, whether they could still play or not doesn't matter. They've got a contract.
Yeah, 100%. Just we spoke before. We'll come on our here and we'll talk about Callum McGregor being the next captain. and again, I've seen interviews with like ex-players and all. Seen one with Kieran Tierney where it was like Colin McGregor is definitely captain material. In terms of ability, I think he's been one of the best central midfielders or attacking midfielders that we've had in a long, long time. Top class player, and he thrived under Rodgers, and I think he would thrive under Eddie Howe. I think given that role and having better sort of support around him and like better wingers and attackers who are actually going to be trying, I think he would thrive. But as an all round sort of captain, I wouldn't like to see him with a captain's armband. For me, he's very subdued on the pitch. He obviously does all his talking with his feet, and that's fantastic. But you just have to look at Scott Brown. Looking back through Scott Brown's career, what he does on the pitch, it's evident that he stokes the players up. Not much this season, but you need someone like that on the pitch. You need someone who commands the best out of the players. For me, I don't think Colin McGregor is going to be given the captain's armband.
No, I don't. And I think if he was to become the captain's armband, you'd think it would probably take away from him playing on his actual playing, because you wonder would he try to become like Brown, and he's not like Brown. And there's nothing wrong with not being Brown, but don't try and become Brown. So I think if there's a new manager coming in, I wouldn't be surprised if he signs a leadership player, maybe an older, wiser player, and they're made captain straight away.
John Joe Kenny. Straight back in, captain. But speaking on Scott Brown, I'm still not ready for him to leave. Like, obviously, we've spoken about this loads of times, but for me, he's going to go down as one of the greatest players ever to play for the club. What he's achieved at Celtic has been absolutely incredible. And I was reading yesterday about the McNeil family, Billy McNeil's family. Obviously thanking and speaking about Scott Brown. But that is, and you need to echo that. Many people need to echo that. And they're obviously going to be doing the tributes, which is a wee bit weird. Putting the jerseys
to come to the stadium now, but yeah,
100%. It's something that you associate with players passing and stuff. But it's a form of it's a form of tribute, I suppose. And he deserves all the lad. He deserves everything. He's been, what's he won? 10 league titles, 6 Scottish Cups, 6 League Cups. Gated Celtic to the past the group stages of the Champions League twice. Like, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like,
played him as well. Short time, yeah.
100%. 100%.
Outstanding player. Well, I think there was 2 halves to Brown's career. There was the first half where I wasn't a massive fan, and then there was the second half, maybe after Lennon came in, where he turned into a good player. And then particularly when Rodgers came in, those 2 years, he was just exceptional. Brown, he was like a new lease of life. Because remember, everyone thought he was done, but he came back, and then unfortunately, it's a sad way to go out.
He basically was, but he was away doing it. He was doing his badges and stuff, and he was helping out with the coaching side of things. And then obviously, the Rat came in there and was like, "Listen, you've more to give this team."
The cleaner.
What about that? Did you see it? Did you?
Couldn't believe it.
It's like the man.
He has no shame. Like,
no shame at all. He's the gift that keeps on giving, mate. He's just
like David Brent stuff.
David Brent. I mean, that sums him up absolutely perfectly. Like, what was the comments? I can't remember all the time, but it's something about he spoke with the cleaners, and it was like he wanted boxes removed from.
I tell them how important they are, and if anyone has an issue with them, tell them to come to me. I think, shut up! Like, it was like, remember when he was the manager, and he said he was in a traffic jam in Glasgow, and some Rangers fan came up and knocked on the car and said, "Thanks for the Scottish."
Like, that didn't happen. That did not happen.
Just didn't happen.
Danny McGrain needs to come out publicly and just slaughter him and just say that just didn't happen. I remember going to, he done like a live show down on the waterfront with Eamon Holmes, and it was all it was cringe fest, like, but it was a good night, I suppose. And he was doing the book, like a book launch and stuff as well, and he was speaking about that. And everyone just bought into him. It was like everyone, like, there wasn't many people going at the time that didn't really happen. Everyone bought into it and believed him. Like, he's sitting there now, Leicester going to the cleaners and saying, Colo doesn't like boxes. You need to move the boxes for Colo. Jimmy Vardy, he's not a big fan of boxes. Move them. And he was like, the cleaners are like, they felt 10 foot tall after his comments. No wonder, because they were standing on top of the boxes trying to clear them away. Fucking Egypt. Oh, mate.
Brilliant.
we'll call like we could speak about the rat all night, but yeah, I come back to the team. Come back to the team. Who have we on the wings? James Forrest.
Well, that was
David
another one, another classic where there was nothing done. When's Forrest been injured since September, and they just never bought a winger. It was just looking back, you can tell they'd all given up in January. There's no point putting any money at this or trying to save this because they all knew it was done. There was nothing to be done. We had one winger, he was out. We managed to discover that diamond formation, which I'm not a big fan of at all.
Yeah, it's just been different things. Like when you look at them, but they have a set formation, and again, I'll say it. I've said it. I don't believe that they're any way better than last year or the year before. They're a lot more solid in their approach and their system. They're set up much better. But overall, as a quality team, I just don't believe that they're anywhere near. Like there's been comparisons with like the Invincible team and stuff. Like
that's
and they're just like, come on, like you need to be completely honest about this and just let that go. And just look at even how bad we've been this season. There's been 2 or 3 games, even though 6 games against them, and it's been like 5 defeats and 1 draw.
Is it 6? I thought it was 6 or 5.
The last 6. It's the last 6 performances.
One
against
last
them.
Season as well.
Yeah. So it's 5 defeats and 1 draw. But there's been games, especially Abrax and stuff, and you're like, well, we're the better team and we should have got something out of it. But again, mate, it's just like if we had a good manager in place from the very start of the season, a better crop of players, right back, left back, centre half. You just go to yourself. The 10 could have been done. It definitely could have been done, but it's not. It's gone. This season is a total write-off.
Well, if it doesn't count. I think if we won't take last year's and they don't take this year's, and we'll start again from the 9-0 season from next year.
I don't mind saying this as well. Talking about like they're the team of the season, whatever else. For me, it's been St. Johnstone. Fair play to them. Like 2
finals, yeah.
2 finals. They've won one, and you fancy them getting into this final. The way they're playing.
100%. Ibs with Butler.
Oh, big prediction, Pete. Big prediction.
Didn't they beat them 3-0 on the?
They did, they did. They're playing really well. But again, for me, and I'm not just saying this, I think that they've been the team of the season. You have to tip your hat down for play them. But yeah, Forrest is definitely a yes. I think he's going to be a massive player next year. And again, he's one of them players. You look at him underneath Brendan Rodgers, he thrived just performance after performance and solid and just providing unbelievable crosses and stuff for the forwards and stuff. So he's a big yes, P.
Yeah, well, he's definitely not going to go anywhere. He's clearly like a lifer now, but
hopefully McGregor's the same.
We need another winger, and I'd say like Forrest was at his best when Roberts was there as well, pushed him because he knew he had to be at it every single week to keep playing.
Yeah,
I think since Roberts left, you could maybe say Forrest's performance haven't been as good as they were under the Rodgers' 2 years. But yeah, we definitely need Forrest, another winger on the left hand side, and just clear out the rest of that deadwood.
Yeah, it's criminal, isn't it? It's criminal. I was watching Derby yesterday playing, and Paddy Roberts was playing.
Paddy Roberts,
Derby,
yeah.
and you're
Good
just
game,
like,
actually.
It was a good game, but you're watching it, you're going, a player like him, like when he played with Celtic, he was just like, it's one of them ones where you're like, if you stay at that club, you become possibly a club legend, and like playing in European, like going to like playing in the Champions League, hopefully the Champions League next year. And then you're watching them and you're playing like the championship, like a relegation battle, and you're going, he's just another example of a serious player, and he's away. Like,
yeah, but he was there with other Celtic legend Kazim Richards as well yesterday.
Did you see the celebrations? Did you see the celebrations at Waghorn? I mean, that must be the greatest achievement of his career.
Yeah, he was like ripping it up with Ipswich or something in that league.
Flan.
He was terrible up here.
He was awful. He's like the coach. He's a coaching capacity at Derby, but he ran on the pitch and was absolutely buzzing. He was going ballistic.
Yeah, surveyed or something. Yeah,
surveyed the championship. Fair play to him. So, like, I've talked about this man many times this season, and you have a wee bit of a different opinion on Elia Gucci.
Yeah, not for me.
No,
doesn't turn up in the big games.
Talk about that more, P. What's the crack? The big games, is that?
I think there's a lot of them don't turn up. against. It's not, not like he's obviously a good player and all that, but I don't think he's worth any more than 4 or 5 million. I don't think he'd actually. I don't think he'd come back to Celtic. He's done. Say it, we would have bought him. He would have been moving on after 2 years anyway. I don't think he would want to come back again. You could see him ending up in, I don't know. He's not going to play for Southampton, so I'd imagine he'll end up in maybe the Dutch league or something. I just don't think. Last week he didn't turn up, but none of them turned up last week. It's not that if someone said you could have him for 4 or 5 million, I'd want him, but I wouldn't be going out of our way saying he's our number one transfer target.
Yeah, there's definitely a player in there. Like some performances stand out. I'd love to see him staying. Honestly, I would. And we've talked about it before. Like if he plays,
he's playing in the right position as well.
He is 100%. And if Eddie Howe comes in, I think that again that he would thrive under him. Just that we talked about the stability in his career. He hasn't had that much stability in his career with playing with Basel and Southampton stuff. And it's just like, I know you said there that he probably wouldn't re-sign. I gonna disagree with you, mate. I think he would. Especially if there was a manager like Eddie Howe coming in, he may think to himself, right, and may give us another crack at the whip and try and get a couple of years at Celtic and hopefully try and go somewhere else after that. But like some of the things going about that he's rated 12 million and stuff, you're just like, maybe not. But like
they signed him for that though, didn't they?
I think it was even more. It was more, mate.
15 million or something.
It may have been in around that price tag. So when we first got him on loan, it was like, what a player we've got here. Absolutely.
Yeah, until he got injured in class last year.
100%, and it was a wee bit disappointing. We obviously were successful that season, but just going into the season, I think he would have had a much better impact under a solid coaching team. And then Franchiari.
Oh, he's gone.
He's been gone from the start of the season, mate, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think you could tell he didn't get his move last year. He was finished. But even before you get onto him, who else in the middle of the park you get rid of? Rogic, I would clear him out.
Sham.
He's a waste of a jersey. And Sham, he's going to be back though, unless he's getting more managers sacked in France. That was one of the lowest points of the season against them all. Like our players getting other teams' managers sacked.
Like Andres Villas-Boas, it wasn't as if it was just any sort of manager. Like it was a top quality manager. They just went, no, I'm Jack mate. No, you have him. Get you up with him. I don't even think he's made like a few sub appearances, but by all accounts, the reports from France are that he's not highly rated at all.
See, when he came, he was like, they said he's like a month away from being fit to play, which is like, how unfit were those players if he was that far off? Because they just came back from Dubai, the training camp.
I mean, I see again, like I know it is. It's so disheartening talking about it, but the fitness, we associate Celtic with the ultimate professionalism. So you're thinking to yourself, biggest club in Scotland, one of the biggest clubs in the world. You're thinking to yourself, right, they're going to be one of the fittest clubs in the league. They haven't even looked in the top 4 fittest teams in the league this season. Like with gas going into the last, if you watch any sort of performances this year, any of them defeats, like in the Ross County game, the last 15 minutes of that game, we were completely done, like completely gassed. Obviously, COVID, you could say that maybe that has had a wee bit of an impact on it. But again, professional sportsmen, they're going to look after themselves. You look in the Premier League, you're not seeing many teams who are suffering from fatigue or whatever else. Celtic this year, when we've been under the cosh, you're just going, we're going to concede here. We're just going to, they're going to concede. We're going to get beat.
Yeah, any time there was a free given against Celtic, you were just like, here we go. This is it. Their stability, or like the fragility of that team is just woeful, isn't it? See, like any cross into the box, they can't defend. It's just like, where's it gonna go? People are swinging. They were actually lucky last week. Some of the crosses they were sticking in. Your man Tavernier was trying to be. Like, they get ahead on that. Like the goals they can. What was the first goal again last week? I can't remember.
It was like Kemar Roof would come off his chest.
Ah, Jesus.
See again, hard as being that. He's many yards out is he from the goal and he scores with his chest. You're just like, this is just unbelievable.
And then the second one, it doesn't give him any favours. He refuses to block the ball, but you're even like, he's getting beaten. Even the header they scored, the third goal, it wasn't as if that was in the corner. It was
That was
just
a
like,
joke.
yeah, all the goals. He has to go.
Yeah.
He's never a player.
Again, your goalkeeper needs to be supported. If you watch that back, he passes that ball out wide and he meets the ball. Like there's no one else around him. No one. It's a free
Turnbull
header.
just let them run off and just kind of go points off. Somebody get him, and no one gets him.
That was it 100%. It was like just if you look back at any sort of Glasgow Derby games, any sort of recent Glasgow Derby games, and even before they croaked it in the Old Firm games, you never really see easy goals like that. That was just one. That was one of them goals where it was like you wouldn't even see it in lower leagues. It's like it's just so amateur.
Yeah, but there was no one in that no one in that club wanted to take responsibility all year for anything. The board didn't want to take responsibility. Lennon didn't want to take responsibility. And then you look at the players, not one of them wants to put their hand up and like even simple stuff like balls into the box. I know after they drew 1-1 with them back in was that March, was it? Martin O'Neill was talking about the defenders, like you need to have people who just want to go and win the ball. And none of them look like they want to go and win the ball. It's just somebody else deal with that, please, or not me. I don't want to have to, in case they all get caught out for making a mistake. They looked petrified on the ball.
It did. There's an opportunity for someone to come out and say, like, throw the hands up. Do you remember the Peter Lowell and his lovely Gant shirt? Jerry McCulloch with his pre-questions, like already, you know what I mean? Already answered.
But
the script.
That was like one of those. He clearly must have gave money to somebody who works for him. Go over to the shops, will you? And buy a shirt one of those normal people might wear. Make it look like I'm like one of the regular people on the street.
Here's £500. Go and buy me a normal shirt.
Yeah, and he opens like the top two buttons, like, oh, it's the casual working from home.
Forgot to tan his chest. You should have got a few tips from Martino. No, but again, like it was an opportunity for someone to come out and just like there's been half-hearted apologies all season. The recent email season ticket holders got again, but like it's just come out and just put it on the table.
Dear Christine.
What's that?
My email said, "Dear Christine."
Christine. You don't look like a Christine, mate. I put you more down for a Sarah.
Patricia, maybe.
Patricia. Yeah, mate. But going forward, like with Edward, like we know we talked on him briefly. Again, what a player. Like superb talent, but just jacked it in.
Easy.
Didn't want to be here. Very, very lazy at times. And
the cup one was the worst, wasn't it?
What's it?
The cup game at Ibrox, that was the worst one.
No, it was. Diabolical. And I was I remember saying on a podcast that was a few months back about like I'm not ready for him to go, and you don't want players who don't want to be playing for one of the greatest football teams in the world. Good luck to you. Good luck to you. If you want to go back and play with your mates in France or whatever it is, good luck. So obviously he's been a fantastic player for Celtic, but you don't want to be here, mate. All the very best. So talking about this rebuild, then what players have you been looking at players that you like Celtic to sign?
I know people. The first one I'd sign is and it's probably not the most popular one. I actually like Lewis Ferguson in the middle of the back. I think he's got a bit of dig about him. I know everyone's gonna say it, but I think he's all right.
Good player.
I think
good player.
You need someone in the midfield because we're just weak. I know sometimes he comes with some rash challenges, but you think if you had a manager that could coach that out of him, I think he'd be a bit of a player. Then you got the lads at Hibs. What's his name?
Porteous.
Yeah, him. Oh, then Doig. I always keep forgetting which one of them it is. The fullbacks.
Yep, Doig. Yep. Again, I agree with you with Ferguson. He makes a couple of right decisions and stuff. But Brown did that as well when he played with Hibs.
Yeah,
he was, and
he's still only young.
That's it. His first couple of years at Celtic, he made a couple of. He just seemed a wee bit sort of hot-tempered at times. But Ferguson.
I know it sounds weird, doesn't it?
No, it does. It does. But in the day, if he comes and good luck to him, like we're saying that Scott Allen, he turned out to be one of the best players ever to play for Celtic.
I thought he was going to be fast.
So did I.
Yeah.
Some of his performances before he sang were unreal. His hair, man.
Right.
You'd love her like that, wouldn't he?
Oh, he's a good-looking fella, isn't he?
Another one who loves his fake tan. But I agree
with
with you about Porteous. Like Porteous, he loves putting it up against them as well. So,
but
that I say, talking about his abilities, I think he could definitely do a good job. Like, and I think we'll get him. He wouldn't break the bank
We were linked with Declan Gallagher, but he's signed for Aberdeen there in a pre-contract. Happy with that. I don't think he's that good either.
No, I agree with you, mate. And I think a club like Aberdeen, no disrespect to them, I think he'll do well there. I think they're going to have a good season next year with the likes of Gallagher saying and Scott Brown. I think maybe Ferguson could probably stay for maybe another year, but if Salik's going to come in for him or anyone else going to come in for him, he'd probably bounce. But yeah, like some of them players you talk about, they're not going to break it back. I think it depends as well. Like we're talking about this just generally, but Eddie Howe, mate, like we talk about this at the start of the show. He's been confirmed.
Again,
I think he is. I think there's so much talk. Like there's so much. Like surely to God, like it couldn't be false. You're seeing so many accounts and like it's being messed. And the big thing for me, and I talk about it again, that was messing on Celtic TV. They don't talk. Like when was the last time you watched Celtic TV and like it wasn't scripted or that they don't talk. Yeah. They don't talk about gossip. They don't talk about rumors. It seems to be just they're towing the club's lane and stuff. So yeah, that was the big one for me. What do you think it is sort of holding it up? I know we're talking about the backroom staff.
That seems to be the rumor, yeah, because Bournemouth are still in the playoffs.
You were saying they're going for promotion.
Just from what you're reading, people that might be the hold up. They're waiting on them to get knocked out before they can confirm. But like they gave Rodgers the job and didn't announce like the backroom staff for another few weeks. So I don't know what the hold up can be. And then there was this. Remember the rumors that the director of football. That's all gone away as well. Fergal Harkin.
Yeah, I think it's needed. No matter who it is you bring in, football's constantly evolving. I think you need to bring someone in there who's going to oversee things that sometimes the coach can't. But Fergal Harkin looked nailed on. Like again, it looked nailed on, and then Hughes put the spanner in the works. So there hasn't been really much talk about that. But surely the main focus right now is bringing in a top quality manager like Eddie Howe. And I know that the email finished off by they're working hard and they're trying to bring a top quality manager in. The last time, if you remember, when was it the bid is in the cup? Ronnie Deala's last game or his last season, and went out and send the rat. So hopefully we do bring in someone with who is obviously very, very talented. But one thing, talking about bringing someone in like Eddie Howe, that I think we need to learn from our mistakes. Obviously, it was evident like afterwards when Rodgers was talking about there sort of seemed to be a bit of a breakdown with him and Peter Lawwell. And he spoke before about like the need for a director of football at Celtic. So we must learn from their mistakes, surely, and obviously give.
Yeah, they have to be ready because everyone like knew Rodgers was never going to stay forever, but they had no plan in place, and it was they got lucky that Lennon had just been sacked by Hibs. They clearly had no replacement plan or what we do going forward. That's why I think they need a director of football, because if you give Howe the job and Howe's there and he leaves after 2 or 3 years, you're back to square one again. At least if you've got a director of football, they'll be putting plans in place and they'll constantly be looking at who could we look for the manager if Howe leaves or however it is. Roy Keane.
Bring Roy Keane as the assistant. Just get him in. Get him back.
I'd have nowhere near the place.
No, that's it. But yeah, mate, again, we need to learn from their mistakes. Give Eddie Howe what he needs. Give him the much needed transfers. We're going to need. What are you talking? You're talking at least 5-6 signings coming into that team.
I'd go
and again,
more. Depends who leaves as well.
What's that?
There's at least 5 or 6 of them who are definitely going to be off.
Yeah.
And it's the ones you'd want to get rid of. There's a whole new squad. I think it's not going to be solved in one transfer window anyway.
Yeah, it's going to be transitional, isn't
it? Well, that's what the email said, wasn't it?
Transition. But yeah, mate, again, you're going into a big season next year. Like, you talk about pressure this season and stuff, but I think the pressure is going to be equally. It's going to be, they're going to be bang up for it again. They're going to want to defend that as much as possible, win that league.
League.
The Champions League, obviously, it's going to be automatic qualification. So, big incentive for the club as well. If you want to make it into that Champions League, and actually, instead of like, even when Rodgers was there and stuff, we got a couple of good results against like Man City and stuff when they were flying in the English Premier League. But you want to be into that Champions League and sort of, getting those old nights back where you were taking results against Barcelona, Juventus, you were beating the likes of Lyon, Basel. Now, obviously, the massive gulf financially between the likes of those clubs and Celtic now, there needs to be a massive change there, first and foremost. But you do, if you're going in with Eddie Howe next year, going into the Champions League matches, you want a solid team behind you so that we're not getting beat 6 and 7-0 by
It's laughable, isn't it?
It is laughable. It is laughable. Well, but again, we'll want to remain as positive as possible over the next couple of weeks because this season has just been dreadful. And like even with the podcast, we want to keep the podcast as upbeat and as positive as possible because it's very hard to get sucked into that vacuum of negativity, whatever else, the John Joe Kenny negative vacuum. But no, what's that, mate?
It's just been 6 months from October to now, whatever that is, 6-7 months. It's just been horrible. So that's why you really need a new manager to come in to like raise people's spirits and get you excited for next season. Because now I'm just at the stage of dreading the qualifiers because there's nothing to look forward to. There's going to be a squad gone, no manager. It just looks like they've nothing in place and they're just chancing it. It's kind of like, like if you're doing something for work and like someone sends you like, oh, have you got that done? And you're like, yeah, I'll have it done in 5 minutes. And you're like you haven't even looked at doing it. Like, but that manager's coming along soon. If I just ring it around, anyone know of any managers that are free?
Here we'll have 6 points to get against St Johnstone and Hibs. Guaranteed 6 points, Pete.
Keep the gap to 23 points.
Don't remind me. But
Brian Livingston, they could beat them. That's the only highlight now. If they could somehow get beaten, but then I don't think they're going to get beaten. No,
it's like it just seems like they're going to do it, isn't it? That false invisible season that they keep going on. They keep going on about
in 2 cups.
100%. But yeah, St Johnstone up next. Obviously, being the team of the season this year.
Can't wait.
With their cup, I'm buzzing for it. Honestly, I'm buzzing. I'm gonna lose sleep, and then obviously Hibs in the last game of the season. So Scott Brown's last 2 games for Celtic. It's going to be weird not seeing him in the team. He's obviously going to start both games. Yeah, play the full 90 minutes.
Obviously, would you expect? He probably said play the exact same team he's played for every other game. Kennedy. That's the annoying part.
Yeah, surely he changes it. Surely he gives a couple of young ones a go. Like you want to see Carmel coming in there. You want to see him getting a chance. You want to see other boys. I know Armstrong Ogoflax is highly rated. Give him a chance. Henderson's away. What's that?
But highly rated by who?
Oh, I know. Big time. Will not go over. But yeah, that's basically it. That's us wrapped up for the night, mate. We've spoke about all the positive, wonderful things this season.
Yeah, it's been a great year.
It has been a great year. But Tuesday night, it's going to be, Tuesday. The latest episode is absolutely fantastic. So anyone watching or listening, make sure that you check it out. You don't want to miss it. We'll release all the details on that very soon. So keep the eyes on the Facebook page, the Twitter page at the Patriot Game 1888. Any questions you have for any further episodes, just drop us a DM, and we'll happily. Actually, there was a few questions. What was the question? There was a question from Kiwi.
And I think he was asking who would win in a fight between yourself and Martin. I think it's a very good question to have. I know Martin fancies himself as a bit of a.
It's a very relevant question.
Yeah. In the context of the current political climate,
100%, 100%. It fits in perfectly. I think it depends. I think it depends on the situation. If it's for the last battle of Sunshimmer and Asda, Martin wins it hands down. But if it's for the last batter of sausage in the chip shop at the end of the night at 3 o'clock in the morning when you're singing rebel songs, I win hands down.
I'll just ref and.
You just ref.
So
hold us
both up.
100%. But Pierce, it's been fantastic chatting away to you, mate. And yeah, keeping positive and bringing positivity.
I think all our viewers really enjoyed it as well.
They did. They loved it. But yeah, it's been fantastic, mate. And I'll chat to you soon.
Yeah, good. Looking forward. Speak to you soon, pal.
All the best, mate.